Wow, here we go.
Oh, yes.
Lafia.
Lafia, Oba.
Lafia.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Teray.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum and Lafia to the family. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Greetings, Baba.
Yes. And we want to also say, we're glad for see on our elder Carly time we see on the day, we the day and thing like that, and with the other rest of children right here. And we want to say, take it to we sister Kylie, who on the children can't see, but she to bring to all of Hunter all of we. So he's so glad for day one more again for zooming in on sustainability. And right here with me, the brother Kwame Shaw. At the pool, Kwame Shaw.
Yeah, Tip, how you doing?
I do well. How Hunter to do?
Hunter to do well, Queen.
Glad for you this stuff. So now, I'm gonna go. I see me to pop in and out. You see the power and things like that. The queen can be here and the queen can disappear back and forth. So y'all gonna see that happen and thing like that. But just know when I disappear, I with the ancestors. When I come back this year, I with y'all. Okay, now how we to do this? So now, so we want to take this your time first before we start and things like that for do what I call a virtual libation and take just a moment of silence for we ancestors then, because none of we would have there right now and things like that. In the Gullah Geechee Nation, whether we did in Savu, whether we did in Oyotunji African Village, whether we did upon St. Helena Island, we wouldn't dare without we ancestors. So let me take a moment of silence for all of it. Ashe, 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 Ashe. So it's so glad if I had all 100 children tune in one more again. This the we fourth edition of zooming in on sustainability. And we're so glad that 100 a day with all of we. I the Queen Quet head from the body of the Gullah Geechee Nation. I'm so glad if I had the same person who launched this year series with me, right here with me one more again. This your time, this your brother Kwame Shaw for All Mobile Productions. And so y'all wonder, how come they did it together and thing like that ain't got a mask on? Because you know why? Because we've been quarantined together since this thing started. And we go on and get the test and they say we ain't got Rona. Rona ain't dead with we. So we've been to do all the things we could have do for outrun Rona.
Right.
For outrun Rona. Now, for be able to run, you have to have your immune system built up.
Right.
But your immune system ain't but one part of who hunted up. You have to have your whole spirit built up to make your body strong. So that's why today, we ain't taught them not robbery. For close out this year Black Music Month with two brothers who be one, if one end to the right, the other one to the left. If one to the left, the other one to the right. If one to the front, one to the back of me. These your brothers been standing with me, marching with me, protesting with me, praying with me, pouring libation with me, giving homage to the ancestors with me for decades now. One, I watched grow up from a lily boy. And top of him, a man now. And top of him, even the over now. And top of him, the king now. And the top of him, and then try to do something. I love ya. Over.
I love you. Greetings. Thanks for having us, Mama.
Greetings. How the Oyotunji family?
The Oyotunji family is managing quite well. We have our ups and our downs, but we own them equally.
I hear that. Yes, all is a blessing. All is a blessing.
All is a blessing, yes.
All is a blessing. Yes. Dr. Teray, how the Savu family are doing, how people are doing the coastal empire?
Everybody's great. Everybody's excellent. We go forward. You know, we don't sweat now. We go forward. That's how we do.
That's it. That's it.
The spirit of us. Yes, indeed.
Yes. Yes. And as above, so below.
That's
so,
right.
Yes. So now we're going to take these folks below first. Let's go deep first. When we talk about words and sounds of power, and I know both of you were out in the streets and out with the family here in the Gullah Geechee Nation with the death, the murder of Brother Ahmaud Arbery down in Brunswick, right here in the Gullah Geechee Nation. In the Georgia coast. I know you were both engaged and involved with the communities. So Oba, I'm going to start with you. Please tell the people, in the midst of protests and people say the words power. We hear Black power, we say, power to the people. But truly, in terms of the spirit, and when we have spirits crossing in this violent way, which we know is all on the tree of life, what kind of power are you really looking to engage when you go out to do a crossing? You did a special ceremony for the crossing of the spirit of Brother Ahmaud Arbery. What kind of power was in that? And was there any music? Was there music in that movement? Tell the people.
Good afternoon, everyone. We did travel to Ahmaud Arbery's memorial celebration. Interestingly enough, it started as a protest at the courthouse, but then his mother, talked to his mother, and she said, well, they're going to scratch that, and we're going to just have a balloon release because it was his birthday. And so instead of having a protest on his birthday, she wanted to celebrate him directly and leave all of the other stuff out. And so, my main reason for going was because every time I see these movements, there are rarely the ancestors being present. We call on everybody else, but we never call on our ancestors.
That's right.
Those people who suffered no different than how Ahmaud suffered.
Right.
And this is a modern time, so that's why it became extra striking. And indeed, we saw it. It was incumbent upon us because we saw the video like everyone else did.
Right.
And we were outraged, utterly outraged, to the point that we just had to meditate, or burn, baby, burn. Which one you want? So I took meditation, and in that meditation, because you have to remember, I saw the video when I got back from Brazil in February, but I didn't make the connection that his mother would come to the village, oftentimes to seek spiritual help for her son.
Really?
The name Ahmaud Arbery crossed my screen for several days, but one day I looked close at his mother and I said, oh my God, I know her. And so I went through my Rolodex, I forgot her name, found it on Facebook. So I looked at my phone and there was her number. So I said, hey, Wanda, what's going on? And she went through it. She was saying how, in Brunswick, there are a lot of negative spiritual energies, partly because there's trauma there that hadn't been taken care of. And she always felt that her son might have fell victim to that. So do many other people, as she was telling me, because she's a deep spiritual woman. She's a spirit, you wouldn't tell, but she's a very spiritual woman. She can feel vibrations.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, the day of the celebration, I didn't even have a word with her because she was carrying this glow that me seeing the glow, I did not want to interrupt in no kind of way because the sister was glowing. And once I realized that it was her son who we had done spiritual work for in the past, I told her, I said, Ahmaud Arbery didn't die. He changed the world. And I still say that today because that made things move a little faster in terms of what was to come and follow Ahmaud Arbery. Because, our young people shouldn't be dying in vain, of course, as you know. And so for our young brother Ahmaud to fight like he did to the end, he fought the Buckra to the end.
That's
and
all he had.
He succumbed to their physical power.
Right.
But the reason we were there was to amplify the spiritual
power.
African people, the spirit has kept us throughout generations, as we all know.
And still keeping us. And still keeping us.
Deep in us. And so in order to bring this home, because there are a lot of people in African spirituality and different spiritualities, they have to know where to point that spirituality. So by us being there in Jackson, in Brunswick rather, let our people know, people who follow Oyatunji or might follow me because they see me on Facebook, lets them know that now you have to, as an African descendant with quote unquote spiritual powers, you have to invoke your spirits, invoke your God, and let them know that this is necessary, because nothing happens unless prayer is collective in the African mindset. Prayer has to be collective, and that's where the power lies. And so once we poured that libation for because my thing was to get away from the crowds, put on my mask and stay far, keep my people far. We wanted to be there, but distant.
Right.
So we distanced ourselves up on the bridge, and lo and behold, we didn't know that everybody came up on the bridge, all thousands and thousands of people. We was like, uh-oh, move to the back, move to the back, move to the back, move to the side, but we couldn't avoid it no more. We were in the midst of this. Whether virus or no virus, we were in the midst of this, and we had to become dedicated at that moment.
Yes.
And we poured the libation to the 16 magical, if you will, lack of better words, the 16 magical prophecies of Ifa. And then we also called on the ancestors. We called on Harriet Tubman. We called on Denmark Vesey. We called on Nat Turner. We called on the warriors.
Yes.
Okay? And in that libation, the warriors manifested themselves.
Sure did.
Because if you pray and you can't see your prayer, then you ain't been praying.
David, come on, say that again.
Pray, it comes true. You just have to know how to read it. Like, if you don't know how to read, a book won't make no sense to you.
No sense,
So
right.
Once those prayers was dropped to the warrior spirits, we look down yonder and we see about 5,000 bikers coming up, and they were being escorted by the Brunswick Police Department. And so as they flooded in, you see, Black people, we get big on events and situations.
Sure do.
Moments. We're big on that.
Moment.
And in that moment, I felt my people, you know, and that's why it was important for me to go to that event, because I could watch it on TV, but to actually be there
was a whole
different sacrifice.
A whole different thing.
Sacrifice. So I'm thankful to the family. We give our regards to the family. And I know people from Shell and up yonder been going down there last week for the biker thing. You know, they've been going down there again and again and again. I know people, you know, people like, Ken, you been down there? I said, yeah, I've been there. I going too. That's what we have to do. No more sitting on the couch revolutions. Revolutions are won not just by protesting, but by going out and enacting. We don't need permission from nobody. We can go and do it ourselves. And so that is the reason why.
Excellent. And Oba, I don't know if you all knew, but Brunswick is the first city in the Gullah Geechee Nation that gave me a Queen Quet Day and a key to the city of Brunswick. The first one in the Gullah Geechee Nation. I already had keys and Queen Quet Days in other cities, but Brunswick was the first one. And part of the reason that happened was because of our leaders of the Gullah Geechee Nation there, the Reverend Zach Lyde and Sister Anita Collins, who have been consistent warriors for justice there. We have marched the streets of Brunswick numerous times. We have poured libation numerous times for Selden Park and various things. We have gone to the Black Wall Street over and over there in Brunswick to support the Respect for Life bookstore that is still operated by the Muhammad family there. And so we have been there over generations, and Dr. Teray is one of the leaders of the Gullah Geechee Nation. As one of our inaugural Wisdom Circle Council of Elders members, he will recall when we first took the bus all the way from St. Helena Island, all the way down to Brunswick, and we poured libation. We did libations on Lazaretto Creek, and then we went literally on the creek, on the water, and then we went down to St. Simon's Island, to Ebo Landing, and we poured there, and we had a gathering there, and it was power-filled and powerful. So when you mention moments, people have to remember, for the Gullah Geechee Nation human rights, this is a movement and not a moment. There have been multiple moments within this movement. And so, like you said, though, Black people are prone to events and activities. So even some of the people watching us now will probably say, oh yeah, I've been there. I've been there to the fish fry. Because at the end of every one of them, we had a fish fry. So they'll remember the fish fry and then not remember the power and the reason we were there. We were teaching you how to fish. We were preparing you for a time such as this. We were not just there for nampum fish and things like that, just dry long. So every one of these things were steps toward this time. They were the power enacted, and as you said, we called on those warrior spirits, even going back to the Igbos, who people relegate to literature as the people who could fly as a children's story and a mythology, when it is a reality that the people are still flying. We are still walking for our freedom. We are still marching it out without the chains on our legs and arms. We now have to remove them from our minds. So when you mentioned the trauma that's there, I know that city so well that when I saw that this had happened in that city, in a way I wasn't shocked. In a way I wasn't shocked for this to happen there, because the racial divide is still so sick. It's there. And so the reality of it is, though, in the midst of these protests, in the midst of us calling on the ancestors, in the midst of these presentations of power, Dr. Teray made a critical video about the trauma. And you mentioned the word trauma. And Dr. Teray, I know you have a degree in psychology as well as various other degrees, but I thought it was poignant, and I blogged about what you said about the collective, because as the Obai said, our prayers are collective, but I need to get to the point where our healing is also collective. Why don't you speak to that, and why you brought that up in the context of the hour when we talk about trauma, even in regard to the words of power and the visuals we're seeing, Dr. Teray?
Greetings to everyone. Greetings to the Queen and to the Oba and to my brother Kwame.
Assalamu alaikum. Alafia.
Alafia. Yes, indeed. I'm gonna throw some words out there, Queen. You talk about power words. I tell folks some words that we need to be concerned with is fad, because some of the stuff we do is faddish.
Yeah.
We get just like what the Oba was saying, what you've been saying. We get involved in stuff, and it's just for that moment, that time. So faddish. We gotta get away from faddish. Pop culture, because if pop culture is that you put a T-shirt on saying "Remember so and so," and you don't wear the T-shirt, 5 years from later it becomes a rag for you to wash your cars with. Then we go with regards to systemic. Now, just like you brought up Reverend Zach Lai, I will talk about that. Zach and I had a conversation along with Sabrina Newby, former Mayor Rufus Smith, Councilman Maceo Mahoney out of Washington, D.C. We talked about there are systemic things that we need to have done. Systemic or systematic changes must occur. That's what it's about. And going to what you had said, trauma.
Right.
What people don't realize that when this occurs, when there is a police killing, murder, homicide, choking, whatever, when any of that occurs, there is trauma that affects not just the families, but it affects entire communities. Right. Folks are going in and say that how now what happened. You have those people who are oppressed. Those people now identify not just with regard to the victim, but with regard to themselves. That they now become concerned that that can't happen to them. That's the reality. They're not looking at it as something being distant, something far away from them. They're looking at them being a part of it. So we want to give counseling and grief counseling to the family. I tell folks, no, we need to have grief counseling in the communities. We need to be healed.
Right.
Folks talk about post-traumatic stress disorders. They talk about how that remains in families because, excuse me, that remains with a person. Right. And then it can impact their families. Right. I tell people, I say, check this out. For 500 years, African people have been going through that.
Come on.
And so you think that we supposed to be okay after 500 years of trauma on people continually, systematically, systemically, all in our faces, and that it goes not just to the adults, but it goes to the children. So now the children then pass that on to others. And no one says anything about counseling, but as you realize, it got to be about the healing. I did the video is to put it out there to folks. We must not go seize the moment. We must be ingenious right now and not think like we're in a box. We have to come out of the boxes and now to understand the trauma that's impacting every African person. And see, guess what? This trauma is so deep that you don't have to be in Brunswick. You don't have to be in Jacksonville. You don't have to be in Minneapolis. You can be in Los Angeles, Attapulgos, in Sheldon, in Coosawhatchee.
Yeah.
You understand that can happen to you.
That's right.
Nobody goes to them. In Columbine, Sandy Hook, guess what? They provided counseling for those kids and for those people there. But tell me, when have we seen counseling with regards to any of the stuff that happened to our people in Dallas, any of the people in New York? Because I say, don't forget about Eleanor Bumpers. Don't forget about her.
Right.
Don't forget about what occurred in New York. Hey, don't forget about Yusuf Hawkins. Don't forget about Yusuf.
Because again,
and I know we got a lot we got to talk about, but I told folks, I said, listen, I've been a part of this secondhand. And that's why I say I ain't no fair for me, because people talk about Trayvon in 2012.
Right.
Guess what? There's a brother, a Gullah Geechee brother, who leaves from Savannah, Georgia, goes to Baltimore, goes to Atlanta, then goes to Seattle, and is shot down in the streets of Seattle, by the Seattle police officers. And so his family right here in Savannah experiencing trauma. And I'm throwing it out there. I would say that I know that played a role with regard to his father's life, how his father later on his life expended based on that. Because again, his family, everybody's saying, no, because the brother who I knew, the brother loved animals. The brother had the spirit. But then, as I told people, he had, what the officers going to say, that magical Negro moment. Oh, Bob, he had they said they gave the brother a taser. They had tased him and had shot him 2 times. But the magical Negro rose up, even after being shot and tased, like 5 seconds later, and they had to shoot him 2 more times.
Wow. They had to do it, but they did it.
Yeah, they did it.
And so, for me, that was my brother right here.
Right.
And it was 2002. So that's 2002. And then I talked about Yusuf Hawkins. Talking about Yusuf, what happened to Yusuf? I'm like saying, yo, ain't nobody come to our neighborhoods. At least I didn't hear about it in New York, that they went in New York and talked to young African people to say, hey, listen.
They did. I was in New York. Kwame was in New York. Nobody did that. Name the brother that you're talking about that died in Seattle.
His name is Sean Maxwell. I call him Al Hassan. Sean
Maxwell. Because important we know these names. Yes.
And what we're going to see, the same way that they do stuff right now, the stories began to get conflicted. The witnesses' testimony were a little different. So all this is going on. And some of the brothers and sisters here, we sit back and look like, we already know this story. We already know what this is about.
That's right.
Sister said to me, she said, Jamal, you know, like when you hear this stuff, we like, you just be looking and you just be chill. You won't be saying nothing. I said, cause I done been here.
Right.
This is not a fad for me.
You're new to this. You're not new to this.
This is life. And and just like with the old body again, and we do this and acknowledge, because we like Sean is our ancestor. He's now in that ancestral realm. He's in that throne right now. He is right there in the honored place of being with the ancestral realm. So like we make sure that his name lives, and that we know for a fact he will never disappear as long as we continue to hail his name up. And so that's what I think. It ain't a fad. It ain't pop culture. It's about changing a system and also bringing about healing. Because our people been traumatized and they don't want to acknowledge that. As I threw out the people, I said, folks here, not us, not African people with the right sense. You know, people get mad with you when you come with a sliver of truth.
Oh, yes, I know this. Oh, tell me about it.
You know the truth? They get mad and get furious, but they hate you. What the talking about? Who he think he is? I remember he's coming to Food Town in Savannah. You know, who they think? Queen Quay. Her people right down the Frog Bowl. That's why he think he out of Harlem. Because you call it
leave Brooklyn. And what's your Harlem?
No.
Brooklyn, BK in the building.
Do or die, best die, bro. Come on now, man.
They get so mad with that sliver of truth, they can't handle it. By the time, guess what? The Most High says, "Kum fayakun," be as it is. That means we supposed to make something happen. You just ain't here for just to enjoy. You're here to make something happen. And that's why I say we hail up our brothers and sisters. And Zach lied, and I've been doing this since the 90s, understanding. And the last thing, Zach had told folks down there, now technically the homicide did not happen in Brunswick. It was outside of Brunswick. But Zach had told folks said that if you kill other people, it's going to come back to haunt you.
Yep.
So the same thing has continued down there. Folks don't want to talk about it. But the Star Wars, the Warriors down there have been putting it out there. So we're going to end this trauma right now.
We are. We are. And Kwame, right there, that's a perfect note from BK, not from Harlem. We love Harlem. We love our people there. We just got to get it straight. You know, it's a thing.
South Bronx.
Real. So the bridge. Nah, let's not go there. We're going to do a war now. We're going to have war going on. But definitely, Kwame, speak to this, because we started this month off talking about music, because it is Black Music Month, and we've talked about protest songs, and on Facebook we've held what I call the lounge, and we've focused on a lot of these things to uplift the spirit of our people, but also music is healing.
Very much
so how is that used? Because you're a sound engineer. So how does that happen? How do we take drums and cymbals and guitars and put it together, orchestrate it, and then someone who engineers the sound, how does that become a healing force? How does that sound wave lift with the wave of protest?
Well, sound, as most people know or should know, sound is just a series of vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever frequency that you tune in or whatever frequency that you use gets into or opens up what we call chakras or parts or seats of power within your being.
Right, right.
The main instrument other than the voice that the African used was the drum,
mm-hmm.
because it opened up the lowest chakra,
mm-hmm.
which now was the seat of power within your human being.
Yes.
So when we have artists
mm-hmm.
who do songs in certain keys,
mm-hmm. songs in the key of life. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Stevie Wonder,
yes,
was the most
poignant,
visionary
yes.
person ever.
Yes.
Because of his so-called disability of blindness, his ability to hear and feel vibrations were heightened to a point where he understood putting music in certain keys, coupling that with certain words, were now healing, were now uplifting.
Yes.
And I'm sure, as Jamal would understand, music is the highest form of the science of math. I mean, that's the supreme mathematical expression.
Cipher.
If you, look at, if you ever get a chance to look at the wheel of cipher that John Coltrane put together in terms of notation and placing in the diatonic scale, musical scale that was created in Africa, which is the foundation of classical music, the foundation of spiritual music, the foundation of jazz.
He went there. Next, he's gonna mention that country music and how that came from us too.
That came from
well, gonna go there with
all
the
of it came from rock music. I mean, when you look at that, when you cipher that diatomic circle that he built and understand the dynamics of keys and how they relate to one another and their corresponding keys, then you begin to see how positive music, positive lyric combined is very healing, very motivating.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I think it's a direct attack from the music industry to, one, not have our people learning how to play instruments and learn how to read music.
Right, taking the drums away again.
Taking the drum away.
Again.
Taking another language away. Music is a language.
Absolutely.
Having you do things out of a box, not understanding what generates this tone.
Right.
Now starting to use keys which are more demonic.
Yeah.
And then coupling them with words that are
bring about negative energy.
Misogynistic, you know. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, but there has to come a time when rappers understand it's not about you getting bling. It's not about you shooting your brother. But those types of songs seem to get more push than love songs. Right. Than spiritual songs. Right. Those things don't get pushed.
Empowerment songs.
Empowerment songs. And then if we get into the words of power, or what we call the hekau neter, then that's a whole nother thing. And Oba can relate to this as well. When those murders took place within the Assyrian tradition, we were going into the Herukti or Herukuhuti cycle. That is likened to Ogun. So those in the Assyrian tradition would put the word of power to Ogun to fight against this. And now you saw all of these protests coming out. You saw all of these people coming out. You saw all of these folks coming out chanting words that made it very clear, we're tired of this. Right. We're going to move toward uniting. Right. Yes, we're at war, but war gets fought on different levels.
Different levels, absolutely.
And the bottom line out of all of this is justice will prevail.
Right. Right. And it's critical that you mention this about war getting fought on different levels, especially spiritual levels, because in the Gullah Geechee Nation, just about everybody in the Gullah Geechee Nation has an attachment to a praise house or church.
Exactly.
So they have an attachment and a relationship to Christianity. I think Oba Kabi is the second one, probably the onlyest one that probably ain't got that. Then it be the Teeth Up We song, and they're gonna make a Yoruba version of them and thing like that, and be the polyrhythm out, all them chant over there. Or your Tunde, I said, stop Teeth We song, stop Teeth We song.
It's the same rhythm. That's the same rhythm.
It is their rhythm. So watch this. They when you said all of this has risen to unite us. Most of our listeners today heard us all do different greetings, different languages, but they're one tongue to us in the Gullah Geechee Nation. But here it is that I just read and I just posted that voodoo is being used now in Africa to come to the aid of African Americans to try to thwart what the police are doing.
Never been done before.
Right, exactly. Never been done before.
So, it's a powerful moment.
It's a powerful moment. And here it is that I thought immediately, I smiled. I thought about my folks in New Orleans, where I have another Queen Day down there. I thought about Brother Jamal. I thought about Dr. Touré, because I thought about Haiti. And he always talked about how the warriors of Haiti came to Savannah to help us fight for our freedom and to fight way back yonder. And people don't know about that. They don't teach that in school. They don't want to teach about the Stoner Rebellion and these repeated times prior to now, where those ancestors, those warriors called upon these words of power and came together to unite to help keep people alive, Black people, African people alive in North America. That this is not the first time that all these spiritual bodies started calling out to God in the way that they do. And so we get scared as Black people if, oh Lord, it's not saying Jesus ordered in the top, but Jesus, I can't fool with them. Listen, don't worry about that. If you pray the way you pray, and let's be clear, Jesus is also African. So in the midst of this current protest, in the midst of the words of power, we enter a realm of now people realizing we need one, unity, no matter what. And two, we need to get that unity by having things that will bring about healing and not exploitation and destruction and compound our trauma, which means symbols have to go. So not only have people now removed last night, praise God, Charleston moved, John C. Calhoun came down. John C. Calhoun came down after all them libations and all those marches and all those protests around that statue. That came down last night, along with the various other statues that are coming down around the world. Slave owners, as they call them, enslavers, exploiters, rapists, murderers. Their statues of Anglo men are being thrown into waters, even in Lisbon and other places. But here it is, Denmark Vesey's statue stands. It's in Hampton Park in Charleston. How many people see it? How many people know it's there? That's an image we should be looking at. A lot of our images we don't have because our ancestors didn't have photography. They didn't have sketchbooks. They didn't leave us images of them. But we have words. We speak their names. We keep them alive this way. And so even no matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter. Whatever tongue you speak in, we all cry out to God. We cry out like George Floyd did to our mother. We cry out for healing. Our ancestors did the same. We're doing the same now. But we have to realize that in the cry out now is also to do what Dr. Naeem Akbar called for years ago, breaking the images of psychological slavery. So Uncle Ben is coming off the rice. Aunt Jemima is coming off the pancake mix. Mrs. Butterworth, I guess they're gonna change her shape. I don't know what that means. But we also then are saying take down Michelangelo's cousin, which is this Anglo version of the Christ, because that was never Christ. That's Michelangelo's cousin.
He need to get on the same bus.
Right, okay, exactly. So in the midst of that, and Dr. Touré, we going here now. We going here.
Because I'm waiting to say something. Go ahead.
I'm going to give it to you next. I'm throwing the ball in your direction now. Is then the word plantation got to come off these plantations. The Revelry Beer Company is about to get called out to stop using the word Gullah on a beer can, because the Gullah Geechee Nation leadership did not tell anybody that they could exploit our community and our culture and our name, which is a word of power in and of itself. The word Gullah means people blessed by God, and we will not allow you to continue to denigrate our people by trying to fuel them with a liquid substance that then distorts their abilities and then leads to all of what we talk about, where people are out here and then they get caught by the police or something, and then they're told, oh, you walking drunk, I'm gonna give you a ticket, I'm gonna throw you in jail if you don't pay the ticket. If you're driving, that's a whole nother thing that could be a death sentence. We're not gonna have that. That needs to come down. The Gullah Gourmet is not a Gullah Geechee owned company either. And there are all of these places, Geechee Boy products, and that's over on John's House. None of these are native Gullah Geechee products, and these people have continued to use our name and exploit it. But as you said before, Dr. Teray, when Queen Quet said something about it, Queen Quet wrote about it, and all these companies are in Charleston, South Carolina. If Calhoun came down, all this needs to go down, because it has to do with a continued economic exploitation like what they did to our ancestors. But when Queen Quet first said it, and Queen Quet said, stop going in plantations and paying admission when your ancestors worked there for free. If you go in there for free. They said Queen Quet's a pariah. She's a problem. You can't be following her. She gonna get us killed. All right, that kind of stuff. And my life is the one in jeopardy. People have threatened my life all these years since I was elected. So here it is that now is the moment. Now is the day. If we are into moments, as the Oba said, this is the moment in the movement that all that needs to change. Dr. Teray, what you got to say?
Oh, Lord. I swear for God. I was right here because what I got to say, Congo Modele, Congo Ndoke. Kill the evildoers, kill the whites. Now, when y'all had talked about IET, it's reported that Bulkmine comes out when they're in Barkama in the Gator Woods, and there he goes to see the Mali. And I asked me, who the Mali? People don't know. I say the African Muslims. Then he goes to the papers of the Papists. And I said, who are they? Go to the African papers of Papists. It's the African Christians. But then he goes to the traditional believers, those who practice Buddha. He goes to all the traditional religions coming from the continent. He goes to them and he said that our God, whatever name we use for our God, is a good God.
Yes.
Command the waves in the ocean and command the birds to fly. Yes. Our God looks down upon us. Our God is a good God, and the God of the whites, the Buckras, is evil. And your good God commands that you fight against evil. And then that's when, again, we see that balance. Bulkmine comes out and says that in the Gator Woods with those three groups of African people, regardless of their spiritual foundation. But then what happened, Cecily Fatima comes out, that balance. She comes out and she now has the pig blood in the bowl. And so she goes and get the blood and dab it on the foreheads of each one. And then she says her pronouncement, she said, the leaders of our revolution shall be Bulkmine, Jorge Basso, Jean-Francois Papillon, the butterfly, Jorge Bassau. They shall lead our revolution. And as I tell folks, on that day, African people now understand, as you all been saying, it doesn't matter about what name we give to the Most High, to our ancestors. They say we have something in common, that we have a good God, a God that commands us against evil, to fight for what is good, and also we are African.
Yes.
And he said, Egwe Pele, good conduct, good character, good speech. And that brought about Haiti becoming a nation. African people came together. The first republic in the world is Haiti. And folks don't understand the power. They talk about voodoo is this. I say Vaudin is la beau, no evil. And I know what you're gonna get mad at me. People get mad at me. I tell you, what you talk about Vaudin in New Orleans and Vaudin in Benin, in Nigeria, and IAT. Understand that. If you want it, you gotta go. You got right now. You gotta go. You gotta come to OG to get the true African spirituality, not what we talk about commercialized, like you just said, Queen Quet. Commercialized like they do about Gullah beer, like they commercialize Geechee Boy, Geechee products that ain't got nothing to do with us, but using names. And they do the same thing regarding our religions. When I say religions, I ain't say spirituality. Spirituality is totally different. Right. They will commodify religions. People run with that. And so what happened? My queen, my brother, my king, my Oba, what happened on June 4th, if I'm not mistaken, we had a meeting, a mass meeting there on Hilton Head, tied to the spirit of George Floyd, Ahmaud, tied to Breonna, tied to them. And so my cousins on Hilton Head say, you're going to speak on Hilton Head, because my cousins on Bluffton had me come to Bluffton. My cousin on Hilton Head said, you are coming to Hilton Head and speak on Hilton Head. And my cousin Galen Miller said to me, he said, don't hold back. So I tell her, I said, guess what? My family, we got hard. We don't shy away. And so when I got up there to speak, and I threw it out there, and I talked about Al Hassan, but I also had to go and address something. I said, before I go any further, my ancestors ain't got no love for you right now, talking about y'all live on plantations.
Come on now.
To my ancestors. They do not want that, because plantation was not something nostalgic or fun for them. That it was basically like a concentration camp. And that you don't have a gated
Auschwitz
subdivision.
Yes.
So, but you want to have a Hilton Head plantation, Sea Island plantation, Port Royal plantation, like that's okay. African people, and see now, I'm gonna tell you,
plantation.
One of the Buckras, because they so insane, because that's talking about, I said that sliver of truth. One of them so insane contacted me because he was upset that I said black people don't live in those gated communities. I never said nothing like that, because I know the fools stay out there. I know the fools out there, and that's why I say it's disrespectful by African people, Caucasians, Latinos, Asian, Native Americans that live in places called plantations. Because it ain't nothing good about that, and you can never change that up. But that's what they want to try to do. But I said, that's why we're here to speak the truth. And it is. So, yes, ma'am. And so we threw that out there. So what then occurred, it gave some additional fire to folks on Hilton Head that they started a petition. What was so funny, that was on Sunday. On Monday morning, I got a text message from my cousin, like 8 o'clock in the morning, saying, boy, I'm so glad you had talked about that. Because whenever I go back home, come from Atlanta to go home, and I see plantations, I get bothered by that. She said, I signed the petition.
Excellent.
I didn't even sign the petition.
Where's the petition? Where is the petition located? Is it online?
Yeah, it's online. When what happened, a Buckle woman contacted me. She said, yeah, we got like 3,000 signatures for the petition. And I'm so happy that you said what you said on Hilton Head yesterday. And so I'm like, okay. So then I found, then there's a story, then an editorial done by the Allen Packet. But then also now, the story that came out yesterday, that they talked to some other people, because they talked to people who live on, black folks who live on the plantations. Some of them, when they said, they do feel a little disconcerted about being there. See, before they had been silent. That's why
they wouldn't say anything. They've been quiet for years. They've been quiet for decades.
Right. And so now they're saying that they got approximately 5,000 signatures down on the petition. So I was like,
we're gonna help them get 20,000 as soon as this show is over. You send me the link to that petition, because we have a petition already out there on change.org for Stop the Destruction Men at Bay Point, and we are at over 16,000 signatures there, and we wanted at 20,000 signatures before we reach the 20th anniversary of the Gullah Geechee Nation on July the 2nd. And we want to get that same petition y'all are talking about to that number as well by that date. And we are also going to be launching on the color of change. We are going to launch a petition to cease and desist the use of the name Gullah on the beer at Revelry Beer Company and on Gullah Gourmet's products. We want those names off of there, because they have been economically exploiting the Gullah Geechee Nation for so long, and it is time out for this mascotization in the Gullah Geechee Nation. It's time out for the plantationism around the country and around the world. Oba, what do you say about all of this and what is happening? I heard you speak out and say that's like living at Auschwitz while Dr. Touré was mentioning the plantations.
Certainly. He said it all. I can embellish just a tad bit, but that's it right there. All of that is it, because, well, a lot of times we don't educate our people, because we shouldn't be waiting on anyone to educate them. We don't educate our people on how to look at things strategically and how to look at things based on how nations and people who are preserving their natural nationhood would observe things. And so we can drive by plantation every day and it don't bother us. But I remember when I used to been work out in here a long time ago back then. We used to always say plantations, but guess what? We got used to it, man. Where you working at? Shipyard Plantation. I've been in Wexford Plantation. I've been in Hilton Head Plantation. Why couldn't they call them estates?
Right.
Because the plantation is one unit. When you go to Sea Pines, it's broken up into estates. So it's not a plantation. It's a nostalgia that white people get from that word. It helps them to go back to the antebellum period, to go back to the day when they did have white dominance.
Right.
Now, because when I give tours to people, I let them know that about the plantations, that they still use names of plantations in our local area for white people's bizarre resorts.
Yeah.
Imagine the Jewish people going to was it Shunlin concentration camp?
Yeah.
Monthly, and it was called a concentration camp.
Oh, you talking about Auschwitz?
Auschwitz.
Yeah, Auschwitz. And Shunlin, another one was another one. But Auschwitz, definitely. Imagine them going to vacation at Auschwitz, or having people vacation at a place called Auschwitz or concentration camp, because a plantation was a murderous, destructive,
Holocaust,
dangerous. It was an environment of rape, destruction of a people's. They tried to destroy the soul, but they couldn't. But they destroyed our language, our clothing, our so many different things. And for Europeans to continue to sit out and pretend like nothing is wrong with that, the time is up. And so we're happy. And we're also happy to see the white Jesus go and get his behind on the bus with Uncle Ben's and the rest of them. It's bizarre. That is white. A gentleman told me before, he said, we have to stop using that term supremacy, because white culture, their lands, their food, the only thing that's supreme about them pretty much is their economic systems that they continue to build and destroy. There is no white supremacy. There may be white dominance. They may have a domination or dominant over particular areas, but they indeed in no way are supreme. And every time we use that word white supremacy, we're giving it power. As the brother Kwame Shaw said earlier, in terms of how you say things and how you visualize things, all of that is power. And if you're a spiritual person, especially in the Gullah Geechee, we used to always say, boy, that old lady put mouth on you. So that means
okay, look ya.
Put mouth on you. She ain't got to go shake nothing or burn no incense or nothing. All she put that mouth.
Ain't have to kill no chicken. Ain't have to kill no chicken. Ain't have to kill no goat. None of that.
None of that. That's how powerful the voice is.
Exactly.
So the more we say white supremacy, we give it power. And so that's something I think that we can examine, look at, and put it into, because it's not supreme in any way. Their system creates beggars, creates unemployed, creates prostitutes, creates orphans, it creates drug users. Want me to keep going?
You can.
That is what white supremacy creates. That's not supreme in no way. So the idea is that when I do give tours to people, I remind them that, y'all have to know that we don't know our history.
That's it.
And you can't force people to know it. You have to expose them to it.
Right.
It's a good thing that these statues are being ripped from their foundations. Because I was a young man and it occurred to me when I saw the Confederate monument downtown Charleston, went down walked on the river right there. And I said, monument to the Confederacy. So that's a monument to us being in slavery and the people wanted to continue keep African people in bondage, and everybody's just cool with it. The black people take pictures in front of it. A family, a white family take pictures because America both heavily, but it's a very uneducated country. It's a very uneducated people about simple things. That the dumbest Africans speak 7 languages.
That's deep. And then when you speak and you will have what you say, when you are speaking, therein lies your power. What you say, you will have. So we are saying now that we are educated. We are united. We are woke. We are staying awake. This is not a moment. This is a movement, and the power is in the unity of the global African family. So it ain't matter if one of the cracking teeth like this, so and thing like that. It's fine. You can speak whatever language it is, as long as that language still says the word freedom. As long as you are still saying freedom, and that you are saying the word unity, Black unity, and especially where we started, love. That's what the power is that
I
we
know some
have to
gangster
begin
guys.
to love ourselves and love our collective unit and respect each other enough to realize that we do have all the tools that we need. We have to put them in place. Go ahead, Oba.
I was just gonna say, I know some gangster guys that, you know, they're rough and tough, been to life and everything, and in the street and all this sorts of things. They made somebody, one of them made a Facebook post. I'm gonna tell you who it is. It's not important, but he made a Facebook post I saw yesterday. He said, so since we out here holding all these companies and the white men are responsible and holding them accountable, when we gonna start holding these niggas that we know in our streets and our neighborhoods, effing things up for us, image and everything, when are we gonna hold them accountable?
That's right.
I kind of wrote in and said, well, you know, that whole stop snitching thing just means continue to be foolish and continue to destroy yourself. Stop snitching like, I'm bad, I'm a whole, I don't snitch. No, you're a fool.
You're a fool, because you could be the next victim.
Exactly. Well, that's that goes back to music. That goes back to words of power. Brothers gonna work it out. Brothers gonna work it out. Brothers gonna work it all out. Brothers gonna work it out. So we are back at that brothers gonna work it out moment, and I am the sister in the midst of these brothers. We working this out. We are working the wanga. We are using the words of power because we are speaking about blessings, positivity. We know we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. The word Gullah itself means people blessed by God. This is the International Decade of People of African Descent. So therefore, what other greater time would it be for us to anoint one another with that blessing so that we continue the Black legacy in the future? We got 5 minutes. I want each one of y'all, I'm gonna start with Kwame, I'm gonna go to Dr. Teray, and then we're gonna close with the Oba. Give us a word of power for the people.
That says that we fight with the power from above. We fight with the power from God. So with God behind us, nothing can take us down.
Thank you. Dr. Teray?
Say war Fina, Sankofa, Ayenke, and Kose Sekulele Africa. Why Bani Omni Africa? Vajin Nase, family too. Go back into your past and reclaim your story. Your story is not lost, just misplaced. God bless Africa, and God bless the children of Mother Africa. God bless us. The neighbor is your family too. And because that's your neighbor, we're all family. We look out for one another. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
I have to give it to you. You almost brought me to a little motion there, Dr. Teray. In that, you know, you started out by speaking the traditional language of your people, you know? That is so powerful as we go back to the discussion that the Bible spoke of earlier in terms of vibrational frequencies and waves. To speak the language of your people conveys a different message.
Yes.
When you convey it in English, it's harsh. It reflects Germany. It reflects the Jamaic, hard, cold, destitute, pillagers and destroyers point of view. But when you speak from your traditional language, it's in Proverbs, and it says so many great, wonderful things about you and the community. It's never harsh. It's never pointing at you. It's opening up the universe to you for understanding. And so language is extremely important as we go forward here. We have to learn how it's possible in English to communicate, but we have to learn that. But in order to communicate, we have to want to know something about somebody, as opposed to trying to turn them into us. And that's talking at someone. When you're communicating, you're asking not for judgment, but for enlightenment. But our African vernacular gives us enlightenment by just omitting it. You know, and so I employ our people to constantly do your best to speak your own language. We one of the only peoples in the world that don't know any of our own languages, and that's bizarre. Also, they should put on the bus too with the white Jesus, Aunt Jemima, and all of those guys, Uncle Ben, the cream of wheat guy. They should put the word black as well, because the word black, you are a racist to yourself if you use that terminology, because that term comes out of African people searching for an identity. We found our identity. we had to name ourselves black, okay? Before that, they called us colors, niggas, spook, jigaboo. But in realizing the step, I'm talking about the steps, it's steps that we take. We got to black. Black is beautiful. Everybody loves black. We have to take the next elevation, and the next elevation is to our intrinsic beingness of community. People love to talk religion, but they don't want to talk community. I talk community because community is my religion. I do it every day. Feed people, take care of children, old people, young people. That's my religion. And so we have to get back to community. We have to take the I out of it and put a U. Community. Community too. And so the idea going forward is we have to use that unity in the community. I know that just sounds like a cliche, but it's powerful when you and the next person can paint a wall together, or y'all can rake a yard or cut grass together. It ain't gotta be everybody. You ain't gotta save the world. Each of us do our job in our locale. We start with 1,000. If we save one, ashe. So I thank Dr. Jared. Thank you, Mama Queen Fred, our Madam Queen Royalty in our area that fights for us. And we always see Baba Kwame right there along the way, every step. And that's power. Ashe.
That's it.
And look here, we have a crack my teeth and let her know. We always get it this year. We crack my teeth and learn the children this year. Common unity. It unifies you what you have in common. This is our common unity. And
you don't work like the Rasta people.
That is what a community, that's what community is. It unifies you what you have in common. That is what common unity is. Common unity. And so here in the Gullah Geechee Nation, we have come to that point of our common unity. We know who we be Gullah Geechee anointed people and things like that. So if you are trying to locate any of us, you can find Oyotunji African Village on Facebook. You can find Amir Teray on Facebook. You can find the Gullah Geechee Nation Facebook fan page. You can follow GullahGeecheeNation.com, GullahGeecheeNation.com. Whenever we're having activities, events, we are speaking. And wherever we are speaking, we are drumming. Wherever we are drumming, we are shouting. Wherever we are shouting, the ancestors are. Why are we all there together? Because where 2 or 3 gather in the name of God, there God is also. So the anointed people of God gather together, whether it is virtually or in person. The drum has not stopped sounding here in the Gullah Geechee Nation. So for Black Music Month, this is our drum call. This is our drum call for the common unity to come together. So we want y'all to follow us. We want you to look for us. We'll be posting. We're at Gullah Geechee on Twitter. You'll see me tweet out the Obas. You find the Oba also on Instagram. You find us on Instagram at Gullah Geechee. You find Day Clean Soul also online and at Gullah Observations on YouTube. You'll find him on Instagram. We'll be tweeting one another. We'll be posting on Instagram, so you can still find out how to get in touch with us. And go to gullahgeechee.tv. And Brother Kwame Shah, we know who we be. Kwame Shah is also there on all mobile productions. So AMP Turn It Up.com, and we're going to continue to keep the music going on and on and on. And that's going to be the drum beat sending all them off on the bus that old Bob been talking about all afternoon. That he been putting everybody on that bus to ship them out from our coast, ship them off from our movement, and let us continue to stand together, stand strong, keep the power going, keep the drums beating. Head from the body of the Gullah Geechee Nation.
Is that an Indinkra symbol?
That stands for July and the lion. July, yes, it's the month of July coming in. It's July and the lion. That's right. Yes, sir. Thank you, see, July, lion. The Gullah Geechee Nation born in July.
Here we go. You better say it. You better say.
That looks like something else to me,
So that look like losing.
Nah, if you do it like this, it look like something else to me.
You look like you were doing something else. But see, I wasn't going to acknowledge none of y'all because y'all think
I thought it was the Indinkra symbol.
Yes. The next symbol for July, the greatest month in the whole wide world. So great that the Gullah Geechee Nation born in July.
Okay.
And the lion, Leo the lion.
As my viewers can see, the next show will have to be about symbols of power. Said Zeb is throwing signs.
Okay.
We're going to do symbols of power, signs of power.
Right.
But in the meantime, we got to close out this hour. We want to thank Create Fellowship at University of Minnesota for continuing to support this program and to make sure this broadcast comes to you. If you want to tune back in and catch all of what we said, because we said a lot of powerful things, this will be on gullahgeechee.tv. GullahGeechee. Ain't no I in Geechee if it a we. gullahgeechee.tv, and you can follow that and watch this broadcast again and then share it and discuss it and then get your unity together. Get that to be the common factor in all communities around the world, especially in the African family. So peace and blessings to everybody. Keep dancing, keep shouting, keep playing the drum. This year the we time coming up and things like that. And I so glad the next broadcast gonna be another 1 hour show about the legacy of the Gullah Geechee Nation, 20 years at the Queen. That we next broadcast. So don't miss that. July 2nd, that what we going to do. And peace and blessings to all of you. Thank you.
Blessings, Baba Churel and Baba Kwame. Blessings, my queen.
Blessings to you, Oba, always. Alafia.
Yetepo.